I worked the front desk at a private clinic in Amsterdam. An American tourist limped in with a twisted ankle. I asked for his insurance information. He stared at me like I'd asked for his firstborn child. Insurance. I'm injured. You have to treat me first, I explained. We needed payment details. He got louder. This is a hospital. You can't refuse treatment. That's illegal. I know my rights. I said, sir, this is the Netherlands. Different country, different system. He actually pulled out his phone and said, I'm calling the American embassy to report this human rights violation. He genuinely believed healthcare workers worldwide operated under American emergency room laws. When I calmly explained he'd need to pay up front or provide travel insurance, he accused me of holding him hostage. His ankle wasn't even that swollen. He hopped out, muttering about socialist discrimination, and went to the hospital down the street. They made him pay too. He left a review saying Amsterdam healthcare was a scam targeting Americans. A woman in Berlin once told me German pharmacies were breaking international law by not selling her prescription antibiotics over the counter. Another man in Tokyo tried paying his hospital bill with a personal check from Kansas. These aren't rare incidents. They're Tuesday, when Americans encounter healthcare systems that don't revolve around insurance companies and five-figure bills. The confusion becomes comedy. Here are the stories that prove it. I'm a nurse in a Stockholm emergency room. An American man arrived with a bad cut on his hand. Deep, but not life-threatening. I started cleaning it. He kept asking, aren't you going to check my insurance first? I said we'd handle payment after treatment. He got suspicious. Wait, you're treating me without verifying coverage? That's not how it works. I assured him we'd do this for everyone. He insisted, no, you need to call my insurance company in America first. I need pre-authorization. I explained Sweden doesn't work that way. He refused to believe me. Listen, I've been to the ER before. IKNOW the process. You check insurance, then you decide what treatment I'm allowed to get. I told him I was literally stitching his hand right now. He said, exactly. You're doing this wrong. You're supposed to make me wait 3 hours while you argue with my insurance company. I finished the stitches. He demanded an itemized bill for my claim. The bill was 300 kronor, about $30. He stared at it. This is the total? I nodded. He said, no. I mean the total before insurance, I repeated. That was the total. He asked to speak to billing because something's obviously wrong with your system. The billing department confirmed the price. He left convinced we'd messed up his paperwork and he'd get a real bill in 6 months. He emailed us 3 times asking when the actual invoice would arrive. I run a pharmacy in Munich. An American woman stormed in waving a prescription from her doctor back in Florida. She demanded I fill it immediately. I explained I couldn't fill foreign prescriptions without German authorization. She was outraged. Prescription is a prescription. It's from a real doctor. I said I understood, but German law required local approval. She insisted her American doctor's credentials were internationally recognized and accused me of practicing medicine without a license by refusing. She called her doctor in Florida on speakerphone. At 3 a.m. Florida time, her groggy doctor confirmed the prescription was valid. She shoved the phone at me triumphantly. I gently explained that didn't change German regulations. She demanded the pharmacy supervisor. I own the pharmacy. She threatened to report me to the International Pharmacy Board. I wasn't aware one existed. She said, this is discrimination against American healthcare consumers. I offered to direct her to a local doctor who could write a German prescription. She refused because I already have a prescription. She eventually left, shouting that she'd buy the medication online and have it shipped to a real country. I hope she enjoyed the custom seizure. I work hospital billing in Oslo. An American had a minor surgery appendix removal. Routine. He was in and out in 2 days. When I handed him the bill for 15,000 kroner, he went pale. Then he started laughing. Okay, good joke. Where's the real bill? I said that was the real bill, about $1,400. He stopped laughing. For surgery? With anesthesia. And 2 nights in the hospital? I confirmed. He said, That's impossible. My cousin had this in Texas. It cost $47,000. I explained Norwegian healthcare pricing. He insisted I was lying. No one charges that little for surgery. You're going to hit me with hidden fees later. I showed him the itemized breakdown. Everything was included. He didn't believe it. What about the surgeon's fee? The anesthesiologist? The room charge? The pharmacy costs? I pointed to each line item. All covered in that total. He said, "This is a trick. You're going to send me 2 collections in 3 months for the real amount?" He refused to pay until I gave him a legal guarantee in writing that no additional bills would come. I wrote a letter confirming this was his total cost. He paid but kept saying this feels illegal. Expected financial ruin. He got a bill cheaper than his monthly car payment. I'm a receptionist at a general practice clinic in Paris. An American tourist needed treatment for a sinus infection. Simple visit. After seeing the doctor, I told him the cost, 25 euros. He handed me his credit card, then froze. Wait, that's it? Just 25 euros? I said yes. He asked for the full visit. With the doctor? I confirmed. He looked betrayed. Did the doctor even examine me properly? That's way too cheap. Did he rush through it because I'm American? I assured him our doctor spent the normal amount of time. He insisted in America, a doctor visit costs $200 minimum. If you're charging 25 euros, something's wrong. I explained French healthcare pricing. He said, that's not sustainable. How does the doctor make money? He started questioning the doctor's qualifications. Is he a real doctor? Did he go to medical school? I showed him the diplomas on the wall. American tourists always think cheap healthcare means bad healthcare. He muttered, this feels like a scam, while pocketing his prescription. The best part? He asked if he could come back tomorrow just to make sure the diagnosis was right. He didn't trust affordable medicine. I'm a paramedic in Tokyo. We responded to an American tourist who'd fainted in Shibuya heat exhaustion. We checked his vitals, gave him fluids, monitored him for 20 minutes. He recovered quickly. As we packed up, he asked, how much do I owe you? We told him ambulance services were free. He laughed. No, seriously, what's the charge? We repeated, no charge. His face changed. Wait, you're not going to bill me? We shook our heads. He got angry. That's not how ambulances work. You have to charge me. I called 119. I used emergency services. We explained Japanese policy. He insisted we were lying. Ambulances cost $3,000 in America. You can't just give them away for free. He demanded a bill anyway for insurance purposes. We didn't have bill forms for something free. He accused us of trying to avoid paperwork and said he'd report this to City Hall. He genuinely thought free ambulances were some kind of scam. He kept saying, nothing's free. You'll bill me later. We never did. I wonder if he still checks his mailbox expecting an invoice. I work at a pharmacy in Helsinki. An American man asked for amoxicillin. I asked for his prescription. He said, I don't need one. I've taken this before. I know what I need. I explained antibiotics require prescriptions in Finland. He was furious. This is insane. In America, you can just ask for antibiotics. I said, no, you can't. America requires prescriptions too. He backtracked. Okay, but my doctor back home said I could take these whenever I get an infection. That counts. I suggested seeing a Finnish doctor for a prescription. He refused. I'm not paying to see a doctor just to get permission for medicine I already know I need. That's a waste of money, I explained. Seeing a doctor here costs about 20 euros. He scoffed. Nice try, he insisted. Pharmacies are supposed to serve customers, not block them from medicine. I said we were following the law. He asked, what if I'm seriously ill? I said then, he definitely needed a doctor, not just antibiotics. He left shouting, your healthcare system is broken. I'm still confused about what part he thought was broken, the part where doctors diagnose illnesses, or the part where medication costs less than dinner. The wildest case I ever saw was in Copenhagen. I'm a hospital administrator there. An American woman came in for a minor procedure, removing a benign cyst. Outpatient surgery. Took 90 minutes total. When she was in recovery, I went over her discharge paperwork. She asked about the bill. I told her. 8,000 kroner, roughly $1,200. She burst into tears. Happy tears. She grabbed my hands and said, "Thank you so much for the discount." I was confused. There's no discount. That's the standard price. She insisted we must have given her a break because she was American. I explained Danish healthcare costs. She couldn't process it, but I had surgery, with anesthesia, and a surgeon, and nurses, and a recovery room. I confirmed all of that was included. She kept crying and thanking me. Then she asked, "Can I stay longer? Like if I just stay in this bed for a few more hours, how much extra?" I said we needed the room for other patients. She offered to pay more just to experience this. She wanted to stay in a hospital because it was affordable. She told me her insurance in America had a $6,000 deductible. This surgery, out of pocket in the US, would have cost her $30,000 minimum. She'd been putting it off for 2 years because she couldn't afford it. She came to Denmark on vacation, felt the cyst bothering her, and decided to get it removed here because even paying full price as a tourist was cheaper than using her American insurance at home before she left. She asked if she could just move here. I said Danish immigration was complicated. She said, but I'd never have to choose between rent and a doctor's visit again. I didn't have a good counterargument. That's the thing about these stories. They start funny Americans confused by affordable health care, demanding bills that don't exist, panicking over low costs. But underneath the comedy is something darker. These aren't stupid people. They're people trained by a broken system to expect healthcare as financial catastrophe. When you grow up in a country where an ambulance ride costs more than rent, where insurance companies decide if you're sick enough for treatment, where people ration insulin and die from skipping doctor visits, encountering normal healthcare feels like a scam. Americans aren't confused by global healthcare because they're ignorant. They're confused because their system is so uniquely dysfunctional that normal looks impossible. Still, the lady who tried to tip her Norwegian surgeon remains undefeated. That's a whole different story.